Bro, life's a game of glass floors and glass ceilings. I think the cornerstone of most of the problems that people face in attracting abundance, success, wealth, fortune, love, all of these things is mostly just judgment, which is ironic because this is like kind of fundamental to all religious tradition. The absence of judgment is how we create space. This morning, dude, I went to this gas station. I need a laptop stand. I'm on my little treadmill. So this morning I went to the gas station, right? And I was having a conversation with the guy behind the counter, and I went up and, usually I filter myself pretty well. I know this guy, I've seen him a bunch. And I go up to the counter. He says, "Hey man, how are you doing today?" I said, "Honestly, I'm having a shitty day." And I said, relatively speaking, I'm having a shitty day. And he said, "Oh man, I feel that 2025 was a really hard year for me." And I said, "Yeah, dude, I feel you. 2025 was a hard year, but I feel like I'm hitting burnout. I've got a lot of stress right now. Had a baby a month ago. Like I'm hitting a little bit of burnout." And the guy says, "Yeah, dude. So last year, my deck fell off my house. Insurance wouldn't cover it because the pitch was incorrect. My septic tank broke open, and I had to pay $10,000 to put a new septic tank in. And then on top of that, I got sued by a hospital during COVID, even though I was in jail for all of COVID." And he's telling me all this. I just start laughing. I'm like, man, you know what they say? If we were all to take our problems and put them in a pile, we'd all take our own problems back, right? At the end of the day, the thing is people look at issues, they look at problems, right? And we're so caught up in the judgment of others that we play this compare and contrast game. It's like if your friend comes to you with money problems, right, and you're a millionaire, it doesn't mean you don't have money problems. But if you were to tell that friend, "Oh, I have money problems too," you know what they would say? "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? I can't afford my fucking Hyundai, Sonata from 2016, and your money problem is that, you're having to float and use the bank's money in order to cover payroll," right? Both are problems, but when we judge, one is different than the other. But the truth is they're not different. They're exactly the same. And so when you understand this, you start to realize, like, oh, it's all a mental game. All is mental. When it comes to creating, building businesses, brands, building a family, all of these things, what seems challenging is not as challenging as it seems because everything is relative. My suffering to me is just as profound as your suffering is to you. A great example would be like, let's say you grew up with a private chef, right? Rich kid, millionaire parents. You grew up with a private chef, but your dad was never home because he was always around the world working, doing his business deals, so you never saw him. Your suffering, your wound from that is the same as the kid who lived in poverty whose dad was never around. The difference is the story around it and the access to resources. That's it, right? So oftentimes we start to realize, like, oh, the story that we tell ourselves is actually not the correct story. So one of the secrets is, and kind of how I started this video is, life is a game of glass floors and glass ceilings. And every time you level up, you evolve, you're going to break through another glass floor. And there's going to be another glass ceiling above there. And the problem with this is, again, judgment. You're going to judge yourself if you ever go down again, right? You're constantly seeking that new glass ceiling. You're trying to continuously break through this. And as you elevate yourself, as you travel through these different levels of this experience of wealth creation, family creation, any of these things, people around you, when you break through, let's say you break through a glass floor, right? And you're on the lower level of this next level in your experience, but all of your peers, the people you grew up with, the people you've known and loved, they all live down here. So you've broken through a new ceiling, but you're aiming for the ceiling above. If you drop back down at all, you're going to be like, fuck, man, I'm fucking up. You're going to pass judgment on yourself. Meanwhile, the people down here, they're like, what are you talking about? You're doing great. You're doing so well up there. If I had even an inch of that, I would be satisfied. But the truth is, satisfaction doesn't come from breaking through glass floors and glass ceilings, and it certainly doesn't come from more. It doesn't come from excess. Satisfaction is something you have to have the entire time. Satisfaction is something you have to have when you're dirt poor or when you're extremely wealthy. If you're not satisfied in those places, bro, it's just not going to it's not going to work out that well, is essentially what I'm getting at. You're going to manifest bad things, negative things, and a lack of abundance when you pass judgment on yourself or others for your floors and your ceilings. Everything is neutral. I was having a conversation today with a good friend of mine, and she was telling me about her boyfriend has like he's got like a money block that tells him that, here, maybe I'll move this a little closer. He's got a money block that makes him think that money is evil. Money's not evil, money's neutral, right? What is money? Money is currency, it's energy, right? Energy is neutral, but when applied in different ways, it can have a connotation that is good or bad, right? It's the same as like, everything is neutral. The universe is neutral. That's why so many people, especially people who have been stuck in cycles of poverty, they look at extremely wealthy people and they go, oh, those are bad people. They're bad people. How do they have so much abundance? Because the universe is not a morality test. The universe doesn't give a fuck about morals. The universe gives a fuck about constant character and a constant stream of energy. If you're a fucking villain and you've always been a villain, the universe is going to reward the villain just as much as it's going to reward someone else, right? The biggest lie that's ever been sold to the masses is the inclusion of morality in the debate around resource acquisition. Don't get me wrong, be a good person, right? That's between you and God, but the universe doesn't give a fuck. The universe is a garden, and God is the gardener. Whatever you put into the universe, whatever seeds, you're going to reap the benefits of those seeds, whether those seeds are evil, darkness, despair, misery. That's why you're manifesting a shitty life, is because you're planting seeds, just like the evil villain plants the seeds. The evil villain is going to reap the benefits of the seeds planted. This idea of karma being this fucking police officer in the sky is ridiculous. Karma is simply energy transference from one place to the next. And it rewards more than anything authenticity. Once again, let my dog out. Here you go, Buster. Love you. Yeah. So, where were we? Oh, energy transference. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's the biggest block that most people have to anything in life, is that they view the world through a lens of ethics and morality, and the universe doesn't give a fuck about your ethics and morality. It's not me saying that you should be a bad person, right? Each one of us, I think, has a divine spark that should allow us to move in the direction of our highest self. And you know, here's the truth about morality is shaped by your lived experiences, right? One man's morality is not another man's morality. And so instead of judging people and creating these limitations, what you should be doing is focusing on your own mission, your own goal in life, and start pursuing that, dude. Like, that's the biggest problem. People think too much these days. Like, really, it's so funny, man, because if you break down every school of thought, every single group, every organization, they're overthinking fucking everything. A great example of this is I'm involved in the psychedelic community. And in psychedelics, it's very fascinating because there's this obsession with the science. Oh, if we just keep pursuing the science, then eventually it will be so like concrete that we can't deny it. But the secret is that the science has been conclusive for the past 70 years. This is actually, historically speaking, this is a very brief period of history where mind-altering substances have become illegal, right? Like the past 100 years is really, it's the only time in history that we've really tried to limit the consumption of substances that take us into altered states of consciousness, whether that be alcohol, caffeine, cocaine, like all of these things. We really just started playing moral police officer, right? Oh man, I got distracted. I saw myself in the camera, guys. For a long time, I've been telling myself I'm going to start making these videos. I have a good friend who's pretty successful online, and we hung out this weekend. We shot a YouTube video for his channel. His name is Soul of Jarrett. If you want to check him out, Soul of Jarrett on YouTube, Instagram, all these places. But Jarrett and I, you know what's really fascinating to me about Jarrett is that Jarrett, oh, you know what? I was talking about the psychedelics, right? The science has been conclusive, right? So I'll go back to Jarrett, but real quick, sorry. The science has been conclusive for a long time. And so what are we doing by obsessing over the science? It's like a form of masturbation, right? It's the same reason that sex is terrible for people, right? Most men are so obsessed with the nut that they're not actually engaged in this intimate connection with another being, right? If you're more obsessed with coming yourself and you're putting this person's body on a fucking pedestal, then you are not going to be able to perform in a way that benefits both of your connection, this divine connection that's supposed to be sex. And this, like, we're just obsessed with semantics, dude, and feelings and emotions, and we're so trapped in these emotional bodies. And one of the number one things that you need to do in order to be successful in any area of being human is you need to break out of the emotional body. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying remove the emotions, I'm saying feel the emotions. You're actually detached from your emotions, and that's why you're so overcome by them. So many people, they're afraid to sell something. They're afraid to create something. They're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of people saying no to them. And this is something I learned through years of psychedelic work and then owning businesses. That's primary source of revenue generation was door-to-door sales. In door-to-door sales, it is nothing but a numbers game, and on an individual level, it is a nervous system game. Can you walk up to a door, knock on the door, engage in conversation with someone, have them tell you you're a piece of shit to your face, and continue doing that for hours on end? And what I learned in my experience was once I got the bite of rejection, it made me hungrier. But it didn't just make me hungry because I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking get these people. It made me realize there's millions of people out here. Just because one person doesn't want my product doesn't mean that there's not someone out there that needs my product. That's the secret. Someone out there needs what you have, and it's your job to be able to regulate through all the bullshit to get to that one person. Picture this. You're in the middle of the ocean on your little raft, dinghy, whatever. You got a fishing pole. The water's choppy. There's sharks. There's all these things. There's these obstacles that you have to navigate, and your nervous system has to regulate through in order for you to catch that fish. Once you catch the fish, you still have to gut the fish, descale it, cook it, or, find a way to eat it raw safely, right? This is the same truth for life, is the obstacles don't go away. The struggle, the pain, the suffering, it doesn't go away, but you have to transform your outlook so that you're able to regulate your nervous system and begin to operate in a way that recognizes the neutrality. You're not a bad person for trying to sell a product. That's the other thing. So many homeowners have this idea, and I'm still on the topic of door-to-door sales, but so many homeowners have this idea that if you knock on their door, you're like a fucking piece of shit. You're a bad person. It's like, no, everyone's got families to feed. Not only that, most door-to-door salesmen that I know who own door-to-door sales companies, they make a tremendous amount of money. Even when I was just working as someone who, so a couple of times I worked for other companies, I was still making, $2 to $4 grand a week doing door-to-door sales for other people, knowing that they were making 10 times more. So it's a very easy industry to make a lot of money, and if you can regulate your nervous system, if you can handle the emotions, it's the same with asking for money, dude. So I have a business right now. It's a peptide business, and I didn't have the capital to start this business. So what I did was I asked a friend who's he's a super good dude. I've been recording at his music studio for a long time, and we just bounce business ideas. We're both business owners. We bounce business ideas off of each other. And I was like, hey, bro, what do you think of this idea? He goes, I think that's a good idea. Let me hit up my lawyer and ask him what he thinks. And then he hits me back, and I said, hey, I'm going to go talk to some people and see if we could sell this as a product. And what did they do? People wanted it. People wanted the product. We got a little bit of proof of concept, and so we started selling this product, right? He agreed to front the capital. We have a 60-40 split. He owns 60% of the company. I own 40% of the company, right? I didn't have capital, but I was able to obtain it through other means, right? And it's all because my nervous system. If I had shitty nervous system regulation, I would have gotten caught in a story about the future and the past. Well, no one's been willing to do a 60-40 split. I didn't even ask for 60-40. I said 70-30, and he gave me 60-40. well, no one in the past has been willing to do this, so since it didn't work in the past, why would it work now? Or, oh, well, what if he says this? What if he says no? What if it, this is, again, future and past thinking. So the name of the game is maintain neutrality. That's it. Maintain your neutral baseline, and then stop thinking about the future and past, and just fucking be human, dude. If you could do anything, that's going to benefit you the most. When I say be a human, I mean stop thinking of the future and past. You're not a fucking future teller, right? And the past is an old story. Like, move on, dude. It's like, imagine if you read a book and every 2 chapters you read, you went back and you read the first chapter again. You're just gonna fuck up the book. The book is meant to be read in continuity, perpetuity, whatever fucking word you want to use to describe the continuum of the story. And your life is the same. So when you get caught up in that continuum or returning to the past, it's no good. There's a great book actually here. Let me grab it. Boom. Right here. Marshall McLuhan, The Medium's The Message. My buddy Jarrett, who I told you guys I would talk about again on here, he actually gifted me this book recently, and it's a phenomenal book because Marshall McLuhan talks about how you can't go back, dude. You can't, there is no going back. We have this idea of the past and moving forward where we operate as if we're driving a car looking through the rear view mirror. We're not, dude. If you do it that way, you're going to A, crash the car, and B, you're just going to get a fucking headache, man. So stop trying to operate moving towards the future by looking at the past. It's not going to benefit us, all right? Moving forward, nervous system regulation is going to keep you at baseline. And you're going to have to deal with these things, these waves. We call them cortisol spikes because what are we? We're just these fucking alchemical meat sacks. And the body chemistry is where the alchemical process occurs. So as these spikes occur, our job is to maintain baseline, to maintain neutrality. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. That's all very, very subjective. So, just food for thought, man. My name is Fatherhood. I make music under Fatherhood the Rapper. I own a bunch of businesses. I am a father of 6 children. This is my home. It's kind of a fucking mess right now. A little bit. I was in the process of cleaning the floors, and then one of my business partners hit me up and asked me about Nice. That's my dog. Back to my brother Jarrett. Here's what I love about Jarrett. So this weekend, Jarrett and I went and filmed a YouTube video for his YouTube channel. You can check it out. We went and filmed it over in Taos, New Mexico. We went to the Shivaratri Festival, which is this Hindu festival that basically celebrates the Lunar New Year. And you do it with 12 hours of chanting, meditation, and fasting. So we went to this festival and we ate mushrooms. I had this really cool kind of cathartic experience that brought all of the pieces together of the stuff that we're doing together right now. I am acting as a producer for a new documentary series, and we are attempting to travel together and shoot some documentaries about fractured shamanic lineage and occult mushroom use throughout the world. So super cool. You can keep your eyes open for that. You can check him out at Soul of Jarrett. But here's what's cool. We went to this festival, and the next day we went to the hot springs in Taos. And when we were at the hot springs in Taos, there was a group of devotees there. You see, this ashram is the Neem Karoli Baba ashram. Neem Karoli Baba was Ram Dass's guru. So we had a conversation with the devotees, and it's funny because Jarrett's argument, we ended up in this big debate. We filmed it. It'll be on YouTube here shortly. But Jarrett's argument is that psychedelics are the quickest way to access ethereal states. And these states are going to help us navigate this new world order, right? And by new world order, I mean the changing and transitioning power structures in the material world. The only way we're going to save this fucking place is through the consumption of these plant medicines, right? And we talk about Terence McKenna and how, Terence McKenna has this amazing quote from Archaic Revival, which is kind of a series of compiled lectures of his, where he says, one man's symbolism is another man's technology. So what that means is what one person worships as a symbol, right? Think of Christians who worship Jesus but don't access the technology of Christ consciousness. Think of Hindus who sit and chant and do mantras, and they do it because they're supposed to, but they don't do it to access the technology of these ethereal states. It's common in every single religion, and the missing piece is psychedelic. We won't say psychedelic because I don't know how, I'm new to YouTube. I don't know how YouTube responds to this kind of stuff. We'll say sacrament, right? So the sacrament is the missing piece. So we took some sacrament, we went to this festival, and the next day we meet with these people, and Jared's argument is that spirituality and psychedelic work are actually not necessarily, they don't work together, right? Spirituality is focused on the individual's suffering. Psychedelia is focusing on the bigger picture and how we can take this, the problems in the world and turn them around, change these power structures. How can we save the world? That's the question of the psychedelics, where the spiritual process says, how can I save my world? How can I save myself in a world that's crumbling? So these are two very contrarian perspectives, and they're going at it, dude. They're arguing, they're debating their points. But one thing I noticed is they loved Jared. He was making very intelligent points, and he was saying directly to their face, you're wrong. And they still loved him. Why is that? If we live in a world, like we've been programmed to believe, where it is very adversarial, where these ideas are clashing and they can't coexist, then this wouldn't work. But the truth is ideas can coexist while telling each other, hey, you're wrong, right? And that's what we're missing. We're missing that in the world today. We have all of these camps. They go, no, I'm fucking right and you're fucking wrong, and I'll kill you to prove it. And so what does neutrality say? Neutrality says that we can have completely contrary opinions, and as long as I have nervous system regulation, and as long as I acknowledge your humanity, we can continue to have disagreements and debate. And that's what we need. We need disagreements and debate. We need to continuously connect on this concept of having hard conversations, dude, not people pleasing, right? So it's really interesting to see that in person, see Jared take this contrarian perspective and have them respect him for it, right? And I think that the world is actually waking up to the fact that just because someone is morally different than you, ethically different than you, has a different set of preconceived notions and ideals, doesn't mean that that is a bad person. Doesn't mean they're dangerous. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means that this person is on a different stream of thought than you, and that we can bring these thoughts together and we can use them as a millstone to really distill the essence of truth. What is this experience, and how can we as human beings be good stewards of the human experience? So I don't know why I went on that tangent. I just wanted to tell you guys about Jared, what our experience was this weekend. Super exciting, man. Now my goal is to raise funds for these trips. We got a whole bunch of them planned, dude. It's really crazy. I'm very much looking forward to it. Very excited about these opportunities in life, and looking forward to sharing more here on YouTube. I've never shared on YouTube. Jarrett kind of filled me in and was like, no, that's the place that you should be sharing the most, and then just clip out from there, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start sharing here. Hopefully this wasn't too scatterbrained and all over the place. To be honest, bro, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Most people, they get so caught up, again, they're locked into, if something's not packaged perfectly for me, if the information isn't distilled and dissected in this fucking academic way, then I refuse to participate in it. It's almost like this cognitive dissonance, that if something hasn't been packaged perfectly and academically, we cast it aside. But that's a manipulation tactic of the people in positions of power, right? Look at psychedelics, dude. Psychedelics are a wonderful example of this. if the science was going to bring legality to psychedelics, it would have done it by now. We have all the scientific evidence. We're beating a dead horse. We're participating in this stupid fucking game where we pretend like the obvious isn't there. We pretend like these compounds aren't world changing. We gotta stop with the fucking games. We gotta stop pretending, bro. The pretending's not getting us anywhere. So, yeah, man, that's what I got for you. I have a phone call to make here in 1 hour. I might just build a laptop stand because I'm too lazy to buy one. But this is the move, dude. Been walking for 26 minutes. Without a doubt, this is the way. Movement's medicine too. You see, many things can be correct and true at the same time. All you have to do is pick a line and walk it, dude. The universe doesn't give a fuck about the details. Only you give a fuck about the details, you know? So many people, I have 6 kids, bro. So many people ask me, they're like, bro, how did you do it? I've always wanted kids. I can't get a girl to call me back. I can't get any matches on Tinder. How did you do it? One is I'm fucking autistic as shit and I talk to everyone. Like this conversation I'm having with you right now, I've had 5 of these conversations today with random people in random places, and I do that every single day. I communicate with people because I think it's the most important thing that we can do. You know, there's that, Saving Private Ryan. This is so cheesy. Saving Private Ryan, the sniper, shoots people, right? And he shoots the dude and they're like, gives him, his letter to his dad, and he's like dying, and he shoots him again. And he says, as long as there's air in their lungs, they can bear a message. And so that's why they keep shooting them after they're down. And I think that's such a poignant remark in regards to the message. Whatever your message is, your lungs, dude, your breath, your ability to communicate, it's one of the greatest gifts that you have as a human, and you need to exercise that. More than you exercise the thinking muscle, more than you exercise the fucking bullshit muscle. That's the other thing. People tend to talk about bullshit a lot. More than you exercise those, try and exercise the ability to communicate about, things that actually matter to you, right? I'm not saying that, whatever, just talk, bro. It'll fucking change your life. So, anyway, guys, it's 1:11. I'm out of here. My name is Fatherhood. If you want more wacky opinions, you can come here and I'll fucking yap at you. Love you guys. Bye. I'm coming, bro.